Hi, good evening. So I'm Dr. Chelsea. You guys might see my hot pink minivan tooling around here. I live very close, so I'm in the little Target Center across the street quite a bit. So now you know who that hot pink minivan is. I am in the area here, and I used to specialize in emotionally disabled children, but now I specialize more in pain management and with sex therapy. But I still do some kids and do a lot of parenting, because parenting usually is just skill building, family unification, step families, doing that type of unification, or rebuilding the sense of the household when it's sort of fallen apart or we've changed the dynamics a lot. I know that sounds like a strange thing to go to a counselor for, but how else do you do it? You know, sometimes you just don't know how to quite get that all to glue together. So that's like tonight, we're talking about strengthening your relationship with your teen. And that can be anything from just wanting to make it better to those teenagers who are really disrespectful, who aren't following rules, who we just feel like you're at the end of the rope. So please think about examples and ideas. I give a lot of time for Q&A at the end. So I'll do a little bit, but usually this runs really well when you guys have your questions, you have your examples, and I want to make sure that I can answer those for you tonight. Most people come here because they have a reason to come here. They're not just curious. So with strengthening your relationship, let's say your relationship's going well with your teenager and you're going, you know what, I got a cool kid, just they're really busy and they have the influence of their friends, but how can I make it a little better? You know, I'm starting to feel like I want to have a strong relationship before they go off to college or before they're moving on in their life, and you know, they're with friends, they're at school, they've got activities, and you're just sort of feeling them fall through your fingertips, right? They're running out the door every time you turn around. Well, one of the biggest things, of course, is time. But how much time do they have, right? And how much time do you have? And then they sleep 100 hours. You know, they don't wake up till noon on Saturday unless there's something fun going on. So it is that influence, right? And so really that time around you, just your influence really matters. And for that, when we're talking about influence nowadays, one of the biggest things that I like is the no phones. I love people who have phone jails, have that phone box, or, you know, kids do not have emergencies that somebody needs them, okay? 911 emergencies, you dial 911. That's not even me. I'm crisis, so if somebody's suicidal, homicidal, high on drugs, those sorts of crisis things, that's why you call me. Teenagers, they're not even in there. You know, they may feel like they have 911 or crises in their lives, but very rarely does somebody seriously need them. Now, what if somebody needs a kidney or something? You know what, you got time there too. Usually it's somebody said this, that, or the other, there's drama, or best friend needs to borrow this dress, or some other kid needs to know what the homework was, or wants to know what time rehearsal for this, that, or the other is. Those are nowhere near 911 in crisis, right? So they can put down their phones for that time with you. And that time with you can be smaller chunks that are more regular and more predictable. I love having a time of the week, whether it's, you know, a Tuesday night or a Sunday night. Usually nothing goes on big on a Sunday night. You're getting ready for your school week. You're getting ready for everything coming up. It's a great time to sort of make a house rule of you are stuck at the house. You know, come this time on Sunday, you just are at home. You do laundry, you hang out with family, we do whatever. You're sort of stuck here to get yourself to relax, to take that break. And that also teaches them self-care, teaches them to take that time for themselves, and you just be with them, be around them. They can't go hang out in their room, that sort of thing. Now, of course, it's a kid who's going to follow your rules, right? Who's actually going to be at home, who's going to want to hang out with you in the living room or whatever, you know. But to not have that phone, another way for that is activities. You know, do something with them. You might have to get creative, you know, and do something that's fun that you've always wanted to do. You know, it could be that you take a dance class together. It could be that you go to the gym together, or that you decide to train to do a 5K together, or you ride bikes, or you do art, you know, you do some painting. Go to those painting classes. You can go at like Burst of Butterflies, or you go outside and you do some gardening, or you want to learn some weird new thing together. It's often great to do activities where there is nobody is, where you are not the one who knows. So you are unskilled. This sounds weird, but their whole life, kids don't know. They're the ones who don't know how to walk. Then they're the ones who don't know how to talk. And then they're the ones who don't know how to go to school. They don't know how to do math. They don't know how to read. Now you've got high schoolers who think they know everything, but they don't know how to pay taxes, they don't know how to manage their life, they don't know how to get a job, they don't know how to do a lot of things, right? So they look to you and you've got it all together, they think. Or they think you know absolutely nothing about real life, but they see that you pay bills, you drive, you manage a lot of other things. It can feel really good to see them see you be humble, to do something that you are totally unskilled at, something you're not good at, and the fact that it's okay to not be good at something. You can try cooking a different recipe you've never done before, or a whole style of food that you've never done before. It doesn't have to be something where you go out and about or you take a formal class or anything. You can just decide, hey, let's all come up with ideas, fold them up on paper, throw them in a box or a vase or something, and we'll pull them out and we'll try them. Things that take 30 minutes, heck, we can look it up on YouTube. And we'll fix the sprinkler out front, or we'll learn how to hang a ceiling fan. It could be stuff around the house, Mr. Fix-It sort of stuff. It could be absolutely anything. One thing I love about this is you guys are busy, don't come up with them. Make the teenager do it. Make them come up with a big old long list of things that they would love to do, and it might be silly. It might be stuff that they just think is hilarious. They want to see you swing dance, or they want to see you try to learn how to do sign language, or they want to YouTube and they want to do a parody with you, want to write a music parody. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's mostly just spending time with them, which also means that because we want time, it can be absolutely anything. It's sort of like just strapping them to you, run errands, tell them, hey, this is our time together. No, we're not going to necessarily have fun. We're just going to be together. We're going to have that influence. Because how many of you feel like you actually influence your children? Maybe raise a hand. Good. Wow. Lots of hands. I love that. And that's wonderful. You have a lot more competition than we even had with our parents, because nowadays they have how much influence right here, right? Any thought they have, anything else going on, they've got 10, 20, 50 friends making a comment on it and having influence and pushing their ideas. And you've got this one voice. The cool thing is, though, you have that voice that cuts through everything. If you guys ever been at a party or a loud thing, a school function, and you speak and your kid automatically whips their head around and sees that you're there. Biologically, they can hear your voice. It's really awesome because they love you, they care for you, because they get that love, that specialness from you. They get from no one else. So own that power, know that that is super special, and even though you have one voice, set of parents, two, whatever, that's a very powerful voice. So when you say something, it hits hard. So now we're going into the hard stuff, talking to them. And that's where that influence really does matter. Because when we're communicating, and I hope I spell everything right. I may have a PhD, but I use spell check. So whiteboards do not come with spell check. With communication, it can be pretty hard because, for one, we get emotional, right? And if we want to talk, we often make the kids talk, but that goes vice versa. They want to talk about something. They want to talk about it now. They want to talk about it all the way. They've thought about it all day instead of paying attention in math class. That's not fair. That's not fair for you, that's not fair for them, that is totally not fair. One of my favorite things to do is, if anything is important, so we're going to do the point system. Is it going to matter in 2 hours, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years? Okay? So depending on how many points something is worth, doesn't matter in 2 hours? Sure, let's talk about it right now. Doesn't matter in 2 days? Let's talk about it right now. 2 weeks? We might want to wait a little bit on that. If we were going to still care about it in 2 weeks about this talk we had, we might want to wait a bit and talk later and really have time to sit down and talk when we're both ready and when we both can listen and when we both thought about what we're going to say, right? Not feel like we're jumping in and we're experts and they know nothing, or vice versa. They're coming at us to talk about something and we know nothing about it. That's not good communication either way. If any of you go to business meetings where somebody brings up something that you know nothing about, you have nothing to say, and then you're following up with emails and it's not quite hitting. Let's just all meet at the table together on even playing field, and then we're not fighting for that power and control. So anything that's a 3, 4, or 5 points, so it matters in 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, that's pretty special stuff. That's important stuff. So let's wait and talk about it. And we might wait, if it's only 2 weeks, we might wait for, hey, give me an hour to think, to just rest and be able to actually talk to you. Or let me look that up, get an idea about what I'm thinking, and we'll come back. Or tonight. But other stuff, maybe we'll wait till tomorrow. Hey, tomorrow's 6 o'clock, me and you, we have a date. And it might be only 10 minutes. if we come to the table ready to talk, and we're both prepared, it's going to take less time. We're not going to be emotional. That's one of my biggest things. If anyone's really excited and emotional about something, if it's not happening right now, it can wait. It's like leftovers. Leftovers are better the next day. You know, don't eat chili the day you make it. Put it in the fridge. It's awesome the next day. And any conversation worth having is much better the next day. So with the communication, we're going to do what I sort of call prep. We're going to prep for it. We're going to take our time and we're going to schedule it. But I know that sounds really weird, but then we both know what we're talking about. None of this, hey, we need to talk. Those are the worst words ever. If anyone starts of a, hey, let's talk tonight, my whole day is wondering what they're going to talk about, trying to prep about all these other communications and what problems could be out there, and my imagination's going crazy. So let's not do that. Let's say, hey, tonight let's talk about how your friends are influencing you. Tonight let's talk about college. Tonight let's talk about, you getting first chair in band. Whatever it may be. Let's tell them what it's about, or they tell us what it's about. We have some time to sort of have a little bit of thoughts, and then we come to the table and actually talk. Another thing I love is we got to have a special timeout word. Now, this sounds weird. We're going to take a timeout. Well, when we're not productive, why talk? So often if kids don't know much about something, or if we're very passionate about something, our emotions get high, right? As those emotions get high, we get just not logical, we're not listening, they're talking and we're waiting to jump in there and talk. And that goes both ways. So if we're getting to where nobody's really listening, we're not making progress, let's stop and just call it. So come up with a word with your teenager that you like, something that reminds you of something that is good about your relationship. It could be zip line because you did some awesome zip lining, you both had fun, it was a great time. It could be stockings because you love Christmas stockings. It could be swimming because you love swimming in the summer and that's like your awesome thing you do together. It could be cupcakes, I don't care. Come up with a word that reminds you that something is special between the two of you. It could be freckle because they have a cute little freckle you've always played with and loved your whole life. Whatever it is, something that reminds them, I care for you, I love you, you love me, we're good, and we need to not mess this up. Let's not keep talking when we're doing it bad. Now, of course, I really suggest this in almost every relationship you have. It's hard to do with a boss, but with a spouse and such, it's great to say, hey, we're going in a bad way right now, let's just take a break. Now, chemically, it takes you 20 to 30 minutes to calm down if you're trying to calm down. So if the teenager goes to their room, are they going to be doing some meditation, doing some coloring? Are they going to be taking a nap or doing some exercise? No, they're probably going to be sitting there going, oh my gosh, I can't believe they said that, and I wanted to say this, and I want this, and da-da-da-da-da, and they're getting worked up still in their head, right? Still processing. So it's probably not going to take 20 or 30 minutes. It's going to take them a while to have their little fit, and then take 20, 30 minutes to calm down. So for kids, I always say, once we call the timeout word, we get 1 hour. And what I love about this is, let's say we did our prep. We said 6 o'clock, let's talk about whatever. We started talking. By 6:20, it's starting to get heated. It's getting messy. We're not being productive. It's going south. Then let's call it. Let's say our word and say, you know what? I'll see you at 7:20. Go, relax, do whatever you want to do. Have some food. I'm always big into never talk when you're hungry. We'll get to that in a second. But also, we'll come back. Now, if we come back and we say, how are you doing? You know what? I'm calm. I'm good. Let's talk. Or you know what? You might be good. I'm not. I'm still not okay. When can we talk about this again? So let's be logical about this. Let's actually take time to realize we want good communication with you. That's telling them you are special, you are worthwhile for me to have good communication, not just for us to go at it. Right? Anytime you need to feel like you need to go at it, throw the parent card out there. Okay? You never need to argue with your kid right here, right now about something. If it's that important and that desperate, throw the parent card and do the I win. I'm not going to yell at you and argue with you when it's desperate. That's called I'm right, you're wrong, we're done. Okay? And we don't want to do that very often. Right? That's not a fun thing to do. We want to teach them how to make decisions. We want to help guide them. We don't want to just be throwing that parent card out and then they're 35 and they don't know if they should tie their shoes or what they should do and they're giving you a call. Right? We want them to make good decisions on their own. So this takes time and effort to set this up, but once you start doing it, it takes so little time and effort to have a good communication and a good talk than it does to have several bad ones. and have a week of feeling bad and them locking themselves in their room, and then you have distance, and then you get so used to this distance, and then it feels like every time you go to talk you get flooded with all these other times it's gone bad. You say one word and it's like, ugh, you know, and I'm sure you've all heard that, right? The ugh. And we get that way too. It's like, ugh, I don't want to talk to them about that topic because it's overwhelming. We call that flooding in therapy. You just get flooded by all the other bad times you've had. So this sounds like a lot of work. It's totally worth it to set it up. Like I said, I recommend it in relationships, I recommend it in friendships, I recommend it across the board. So we come back and in that 1 hour we check in and see if we're gonna talk. And if not, then we go back up to the top and we schedule it and we work it out again. And then my favorite one, which very few people actually do this, they forget it. And sorry for the example, but I saw Charlie Wilson's War on HBO the other day and it reminded me, always follow through, always end well. If that's about the war in Afghanistan and how, you know, at the end of the war, it was about educating people, turning it back over to the Afghanis, and it's part of that lesson of always end well. You can do a good beginning, a good middle, you gotta do a good end. And this is part of that good end. We need to follow through and we need to come back and say how it was. We need to do that final little closure, okay? And that closure can be like, hey, we talked yesterday about your college ideas, and hey, I thought that was great. I got to say my things, you got to say this is what I heard. Was that good? They're like, yeah, that was good. High five, we're done. It's a 10-second little thing. It's not this big blow up. It's not reviewing the minutes of our conversation. It's just checking back in and saying, hey, we talked good. Good job us. Okay? And that's reinforcing so that next time they want to talk to you, they're more likely to do it. Okay? So I know it sounds a little strange, but we go back and we say that was great or that wasn't great. Sometimes you do that closure right after you talk. And that's awesome. Now what do you do about actually talking? That's where it gets a little harder. Yes, therapists, we love our little I statements. Anyone here heard of I statements? If you've been to therapy, you've heard about them. If you've taken a 101 class. Every therapist has a different version. Mine is pretty simple. I want blank. It must be an emotion. So you can't say you can't say that. You say I want, I want. Whew, I feel, sorry. Whew, I feel blank, it's emotion, when, and we need to be specific and recent. This is very big to be recent when it comes to teenagers. They think a week is forever. They think after a month they're a whole new person. So if you bring up behaviors from the past, which was, before Christmas break, before winter break, they're no longer that person. Okay, so they've moved on. So we need to definitely keep specific, keep recent. We can say, you know what, I saw a pattern and you're doing it again right now. But when we're doing an I statement, to really just take and say one thing and have that one thing land beautifully. If you really want one thought, one thing to get through beautifully, you do this. When and I want. And then you say the whole thing. I want the whole enchilada. And then I want sort of like a somewhat compromise or more realistic. So my example, I give the exact same example to absolutely everybody in the world. I feel, there's 3 ways to do this, so I'm going to give you the bad example and we'll work our way through. I feel frustrated when the trash piles up in the kitchen. And I want, whole enchilada, I want the trash taken out 7 nights a week. And, even if there's a tissue in it, I want it taken out. I used to work food service, loved the trash was taken out and it was spotless when you go to bed at night. Right? I'm willing to do twice a week before it goes, and one of those times has to be before it goes to the curb. Is my husband jumping off the couch? No. Is my kid jumping off the couch? No. Nobody is. They're like, yeah, that's nice to hear. Thanks for telling us. But if I say, instead of an angry word, frustration's an anger word. All anger comes from hurt and afraid. But if I think about it, silly thing, I'm actually afraid of the garbage. I feel afraid when my too smart for herself dog can get in the trash. There's the real problem. And I want her to be safe. Often when we really know what we want and we say it in a very clear way, we rarely do the enchilada and the realistic. We come down to exactly what we really want. But that's still okay to say, this is what I'd hope and dream for. Here's something a little more realistic. Because what most of us do is we want this. we ask for this, and then someone cuts it straight in half, and they never knew we wanted this. And you know what? Sometimes if we ask for this, we get it. Worst thing you do is you get a no, right? And with this example, you get to say, I want this, and I'm being reasonable enough to know I'm crazy about that. You know, that's asking too much from you, so I'll take this. And they might say, hey, I'll do a little this. But they would never know to do more because you've never said it. This goes for teenagers, spouses, anybody. But that also means if they cut you in half, they know that's pretty sad when you started out over here, right? They're understanding you fully. And that's what communication is about. It's about understanding ourselves fully. Now, I tell kids especially, this is the most powerful way to talk. Because if we're going to get into the logistics of it, it has ethos, I, which is you're the one who can talk about it. I'm only talking about myself. I'm talking about how I am, what I think, what I feel. Logos, it makes logical statement. And pathos, it has emotion. Those are all three parts of logical argument. You can win any debate. Believe me, I'm a debate girl all through college and such. You can win by throwing I statements out. Best response to an I statement? Another I statement. Is this hard to do? Totally. Is this really a way that people talk? It is when you say, let's talk about blank, and then we prep by coming up with like 3 I statements about the topic. Because now we know what we think, we know how we feel. This is for kids and us. If we come to the table with 3 I statements, we're gonna have a great communication. It's gonna take 4 minutes, and then we're gonna go on with our lives. We're gonna feel connected, we're gonna feel understood, we're gonna feel that everything's gotten out because we used a little copy-paste that's easy peasy. So don't work harder, work smarter. I'm all about, doing things as easily and simply as you can and get bang for your buck out of it. So let's say these things, but this also works. Let's say you want to influence your teen. You want to say, I feel happy when you take out the trash, and I want you to keep it up. Or I want you to realize that's part of having some pride in your home. There you go. That hits them. When you say nice things with this, you're also hitting it really hard. So those nice little compliments you give them, good job, great, awesome, cool, those are pennies. They don't feel that. This is a $5 compliment right there. That's gonna hit them. Good job, beautiful concert. We're in this music room, so it makes me think of music. Good concert. You know what? I feel proud when you do great at a concert, and I want you to know that I love your talent. Wow, they're gonna hold that in their heart, right? Much better than an awesome or a good job. Now, if you see me around town, you're gonna see I say awesome and good job all the time. But my kids are this big. So that's all they need, I say bigger stuff as they get bigger, but this stuff really hits home. So let's communicate that way. And then the other thing when we're talking about this is now we're getting to the bad stuff. What if my kid doesn't follow the rules? My kid's disrespectful, they call me names, they march into their room, they this, they that, they the other, okay? Just disrespectful, not listening, all that. You gotta have boundaries. You gotta follow through. You can't follow through sometimes. Gotta follow through every time. If you accidentally let it slip, if you don't take out the trash, you're not going to prom. Guess what? If they don't take out the trash, they can't go to prom because you said it. And if you are not a parent of your word, they're not going to believe a darn thing that comes out of your mouth. So if it slips, oopsie doodle, and you can say, you know what, I am so sorry I just said that. I really hope you take out the trash because I would be sad if you don't go to prom. So I'm really hoping you take out the trash, but because it slipped out of my mouth, I gotta follow through with it. And you're allowed to say that. You're allowed to say, oops, that was like a dumb thing to say. I wish I hadn't, but it's out there and it's real and I gotta do it now. I'm sorry that I was so upset, and hopefully it's not over trash. But if we say it, we have to follow through. Okay, I do not see parents who follow through who have the problems. Okay? I guess it's an extreme rarity. Usually they're way, way, way too controlling and have way too many strong, rigid boundaries. That's such the rarity. So the big one there is the follow through. And around here, what I tend to hear here at Hamilton is I have a wonderful, great kid, and they're great to everybody else. They're great at school. They're great at work. They're great, 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 great. And they're disrespectful to me. Guess what? School follows through. Everyone else follows through. You say, well, what can I do to them? You know, if I make them be grounded and stay at home, they're going to miss the concert, they're going to miss going to that AP thing, they're going to miss this, they're going to miss that. Yeah, they're going to miss out on life if they're being a little jerk to you, right? If they're not being a good person and not treating people with respect that really matter in their lives, bad things happen. If I go and treat a boss with disrespect, what's going to happen? Bad things. If I go to the grocery store and treat them with disrespect, what's going to happen? Bad things, right? This is real life practice. So letting them know that you're just like, they can go home and kick the dog, that's not okay. I love the saying, if you have one smile left to give away, do not waste it on a stranger. Take it home and give it to someone you love.